Okay, so picture this. You walk into your kitchen one morning, and on the concrete floor, there's a face. A human face, just staring up at you.
And not just a smudge that looks like a face. We're talking about a distinct, expressive image that appeared out of nowhere.
Exactly. This is what happened in August 1971, in the small town of Belmez, Spain.
And that one event kicks off one of the most fascinating and frankly frustrating paranormal cases out there. We're doing a deep dive into the Bélmez faces.
We've got decades of reports, forensic analyses, eyewitness accounts, all of it.
And our mission really is to get to the bottom of it. Was this a genuine paranormal event, or was it one of the most clever hoaxes ever pulled off?
So let's start at the beginning. The house of Maria Gómez Cámara. This first face appears on her hearth.
And the family's reaction is, well, it's pre-primal.
They didn't call a scientist.
No, not at all. Her husband and son grabbed a pickaxe, smashed the floor to bits, and poured a fresh layer of concrete over it.
Problem solved, right?
You'd think so. But almost immediately, a new face began to form on that fresh concrete.
And that's when things really took off. That persistence is what turned it into a phenomenon.
Oh, absolutely. By Easter of '72, the place was famous. La Casa de las Caras, the House of the Faces. You had hundreds of tourists lining up.
Which, immediately raises the big red flag.
Money.
Money. Suddenly, there's a very clear financial motive for this to be a hoax.
And there was some pretty strong evidence pointing that way, especially at the start. An investigator, Ramos Pereira.
He was with the Spanish Society of Parapsychology.
Right. He took infrared photos of that first face, and he claimed you could see paintbrush bristles in the image.
Which seems like a slam dunk. Case closed. It's a painting.
It does. And people had theories, too, like maybe someone was using oxidizing agents, something like silver nitrate.
Like an invisible ink.
That's a perfect way to put it. You paint something on, it's clear, and then it slowly darkens over time as it reacts with the light. It would look like it was appearing.
But, and this is where it gets complicated, the science that followed didn't back that up.
Not at all. In 1990, the Institute of Ceramics and Glass did an analysis. They found zinc. They found lead elements you'd find in paint pigments.
Okay, so that supports the paint theory.
It seems like it, but they concluded there were, quote, no traces of paint.
How does that even work? You find the ingredients for paint, but no paint.
Because paint needs a binder, an organic compound, like an oil or an acrylic, to hold the pigment together. They found the pigment metals, but zero organic binder. It shouldn't be possible.
The binder doesn't just evaporate.
It shouldn't, no.
Yeah.
And it got even weirder in 2014. A forensic team for a TV show, Quarto Milenio, looked into it.
What did they find?
The chemical engineer said he found no external manipulation. And forensic criminalist, he actually tried to fake the faces using those invisible ink methods we talked about.
Yeah.
He couldn't do it. He failed to get the same effect and just admitted he was in absolute bewilderment.
So if it's not a hoax, what's the alternative?
Well, this is where you get into the paranormal theories. Researchers like Hans Bender and Germán de Argamosa, they believed it was something called thoughtography.
Thoughtography. So the idea that Maria herself was projecting the images with her mind.
Essentially, yes. That her emotional state, maybe stress or some kind of psychic energy, was physically imprinting these faces onto the floor. A psychokinetic event.
Did they try to test that?
They did. Bender claimed they sealed a section of the floor under plastic to make sure no one could tamper with it.
And the faces still changed.
According to him, yes. They would shift and change their expressions even under the seal, which they argued was proof it was tied directly to Maria's psyche.
Which brings us to the ultimate test of that theory. Maria died in 2004.
And what happened next is maybe the most telling part of the whole story. A new wave of faces did start to appear after she died.
Trying to keep the tourist attraction going.
Exactly. But these new ones, they were different. They were immediately and very easily debunked as fakes, just crude forgeries.
Right, so some people, journalists in 2007, pointed the finger at Maria's son, Diego, saying he was the artist all along.
But that logic just falls apart. If he was the genius forger behind the originals that stumped scientists for decades.
Why did he suddenly forget how to do it? Why were his new attempts so bad they could be debunked instantly?
That is the absolute core of the mystery. The magic, whatever it was, seemed to die with Maria. The forgeries after her death only prove how hard it was to replicate the originals.
So you're left with an impossible puzzle. You have what look like brush marks, but no paint. A paranormal theory tied to one person, and a hoaxer who lost his touch the moment his supposed psychic medium was gone.
It leaves you in this really uncomfortable spot. We're not just looking for a ghost in a machine. We're trying to find a master chemist who figured out how to paint without paint and then took the secret to his grave.
And until someone cracks that chemical code, the faces of Belmez remain an unsolved mystery. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.